Alarm bells for former President Biden and those in his orbit who are fighting for his legacy. Politico has this headline: Biden world braces for bookstorm. There is nothing stormy about that man, but you make it stick. Try. Biden allies are already pre-budding. Some of those books' authors challenging their framing and questioning their fact-finding approach in an attempt to protect the former president's image. 4 books are set to drop over the next few months. 4 of them. The first one hits the shelves tomorrow. And here's some parts of it. Biden aides warned about Kamala Harris replacing the president. Quote, "You want her? Look at her polling. No one wants her. Forget it. It's never going to happen." Quote. It sheds light on Democrats quietly hatching contingency plans for a deteriorating Biden as early as 2023. It also claims the Biden team, quote, strategized around the possibility that Biden might die in office, end of quote. Former CNN political analyst has a prediction for Biden.
The fact that the Biden inner circle clearly knew he was diminished. They kept him from the media. They insisted to the media he was fine, even while knowing he was not. I have a feeling that by the end of May, Joe Biden and his inner circle are going to even be more persona non grata than they are right now in the Democratic Party.
Well, so are some of the analysts and journalists. I mean, come on. Lisa Boothe is here, Fox News political analyst. Your thoughts?
I mean, how many times did we raise concerns when we knew what was going on with Joe Biden? It was obvious to everyone. Yet we were called liars. Yet we were told it was, it was cheap fakes, that we were the ones that had something wrong with us. And each one of these books should be viewed as an admission of guilt, of culpability, that these people knew all along what was really going on behind the scenes, yet they lied to the American people. And they're only telling the truth now when there's a payday involved, when they can make some money on it. And we learned just how much the left and the media work in concert together, that they all covered for Joe Biden together when it was politically expedient, when it was convenient for them. And then they all destroyed him at the same time after that debate when he fell on his face against Donald Trump. So, this is sick. But I think one of the biggest lies we've ever been told about Joe Biden is that he's a good man. He is not. He's a terrible human being, a terrible president. So I hope that his legacy goes down in the ash bin of history.
Talk to me a little bit, though, about the complicity in the lie. I call it the big lie. Because we all could see something, but nobody would ever say that they could see it in other networks across the aisle from Republican voters.
Well, because they didn't want Donald Trump to be president, right? And so it was better for them to lie to us about Joe Biden's health, who, by the way, the special counsel more or less told us that he wasn't mentally fit to stand trial, the president that we had. And so they didn't want they didn't want Donald Trump to be president again. So they were willing to lie to us instead to try to protect Joe Biden.
Can we spend just a couple seconds on Robert Hur for a second? That's who you're talking about. And I took issue with this at the time. Can you think of a lot of criminals where they would say, you know what, they're too old to prosecute, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure there's some. Historically, there'd have to be. Statistically, yes, we're a big population. But the president of the United States, if he committed a crime, you give him a pass because he's old, but you give him the nuclear codes too?
Or mind you, I mean, we saw that unprecedented raid on, Donald Trump and his wife and his family at Mar-a-Lago. And then what did we know? We know that Joe Biden had mishandled classified documents going back to his time in the Senate. At least as president. Well, and at least as president, you have ultimate classification and declassification authority. You don't have that as Senator of the United States. So in all likelihood, he took those documents out of a skiff.
Crime.
Lied to the American people, and then told his ghostwriter that he knew he had classified documents, but, I get to do whatever I want. But we're going to send the FBI in to raid Donald Trump. Also, we're finding out why the deep state and those in the bureaucracy are having such a hard time with President Trump taking office again, because they don't get to run the country anymore like they did under Joe Biden. That we actually have a president asserting his executive power and his authority. We actually have a commander-in-chief again.
That's the second time that the term or the idea of deep state has come up this hour. One was about the judiciary. We'll talk about that another time. Fascinating from Andrew Cherkasky.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.